What's up, guys? Coach Kearns here. Today I want to talk to you a little bit about The Masque of the Red Death by Edgar Allan Poe. Specifically, just a quick summary, then we'll talk a little bit about the setting, because really in this story, the setting is the majority of the importance. Okay, Poe really focused on using the setting to guide the story, which is weird and unique because generally we think of the characters and the plot and all of that being the meat of the story. And while that comes into play, there's really only two characters in this story, the first being Prince Prospero and the second being the Red Death as a character. Okay, so summary wise, this story starts out, the Red Death comes to the country. We're not really sure where that country is. It's just set in the Middle Ages. It's very vague, but it's Prince Prospero's kingdom, and it's in this castellated abbey, which just means it's like a small village with a big, big castle. And basically, the Red Death is this terrible disease that's supposed to represent the bubonic plague, and it ravages the community. More than half the village, half the town is dying off. And Prince Prospero takes 1,000 of his besties and brings them into his kingdom. He shuts the doors, welds the gate together so that him and these 1,000 people will not catch the Red Death. The idea behind that is that the Red Death disease is transported by air and by contact and is very contagious. But if you take 1,000 people that don't have it and lock them up behind this big gate, weld the gate shut, don't let anybody into the castle, that'll solve the problem, okay? As if they're not breathing the same air. But then 5 or 6 months go by, and they're just chilling in this castle, 1,000 people with Prince Prospero. And Prince Prospero is kind of a psycho, kind of a weird guy. I mean, obviously he's locked 1,000 people in his kingdom, so maybe he has an attention need or something like that. But then he decides to have this big party, and the party takes place in these suites. And these suites, whoa, hello, yikes! Those suites are organized by color. And the colors are pretty significant because they all represent something different that we'll talk about here in a second. But these suites, he throws this masquerade ball where everybody's wearing masks and partying, having a great time. There's a clock that sounds every hour in one of the rooms that makes everybody stop and pause, and it kind of freaks people out, but it's whatever. It's just a clock. It does it all the time. Then there's a guest at the party all of a sudden that nobody recognizes, and he looks like a corpse. They think he's wearing a mask, but it looks like pale. There's blood running from the eyes, and essentially he looks like the body of somebody who has died from this Red Death. And everybody's all upset. They're like, how could you do that? That's so insensitive, not politically correct, all right, which we know a lot about these days. But they're trying to figure out who it is, but they're also pretty scared because it's a creepy, realistic mask. Prince Prospero gets mad, and he charges into this one room, this black room with red tinted windows. Wonder what that's representative of, okay? And he tries to get the Red Death guy, the mask, and then all of a sudden he drops dead. And then everyone else around him at the party starts to drop dead. Because guess what? It wasn't an actual visitor. It was the Masque of the Red Death. The title of the story kills everyone. All those 1,000 people, they thought they could hide from it. They thought money could protect them. They thought riches and privacy and separation would save them. But no, you can't escape death. That's the point. Edgar Allan Poe does a great job of making this point. Death is going to get you, whether you're rich, whether you're poor, whether you try and run from it. You're gonna get caught. And that's essentially the whole point of the story. Okay, the setting. Setting's weird here. It takes place in a castellated abbey in the Middle Ages. It's almost like Poe doesn't want us to know exactly where this takes place, okay? Because that keeps it close to reality, but still far enough away that you can't pinpoint an actual position on the map. And the room colors in this story, guys, are crucial, okay? So in this suite, all right, S-U-I-T-E, not sweet, dude, okay? In the suite where everyone is hanging out, where the party takes place, there's 7 rooms. There's a blue room, a green room, an orange room, a white room, a violet room, and then a black and red room. That's only 6. Blue, purple, green, orange, white, violet, and black and red. Okay, so that's the 7. Forgot purple. Okay, the blue room represents birth, the beginning of your life. The purple room, after you've been mixed with a little bit of life happening, as you grow up, you start to change a little bit. That's purple, moving from blue into the redness of life and kind of the things that brings on. Then green. Green is the spring of youth. Okay, you're a young child, carefree, everything's great, blooming green like springtime. Then it goes to orange, and you're in the autumn of your life, and you're starting to decline. It's still very beautiful. It's still very nice, but it's starting to get a little harder. White, okay, that represents the winter of your life. It's hard. You're old. Your hair is white. Your bones are starting to ache, and that's what that white color represents. And then violet. Okay, violet is this shadowy color of death. And in my mind, violet and purple are very much the same, but I think Poe took violet as a much, much darker shade of purple. I almost picture it more like a dark maroon. All right, that's representative of shadows and this looming death. Okay, once you get past old age, you're in that fine line between life and death. And then finally, the black room with the red windows. Okay, death, destruction, everything. The black is the death. The red adds this creepy aspect of maybe a bloody or violent death to it. And that setting just really pops. Okay, these rooms come to life in the story. You don't worry so much about the characters because you're focused on the rooms. And I think that's a really important piece to remember, is that Poe used this setting, these rooms, as symbols to drive the point of his story and how your life goes. But in the end, you can't escape death. That's all there is to it. Okay, the ending of the poem the ending of the story, is a little bit creepy, all right? Because the very, very last line says, "And darkness and decay and the Red Death held illimitable dominion over all." Wow, okay? And darkness and decay and the Red Death held illimitable dominion over all. Wow, that literally is a big, fancy, old-timey way of saying you can't escape death. Death eventually conquers all. That's the theme. That's the message. Doesn't matter who you are, where you live, what's going on, death conquers all. And Poe's a pretty dark dude, but he knew that, and he kind of nailed it on the head, because you're not going to escape it no matter what you do. All right, hopefully this helps. Hopefully I didn't talk in circles. Make some more of these. Shouldn't be too bad. Smash that subscribe and like button. Catch you later.